You are fired." The millionaire's voice boomed through the grand hall, echoing off the marble floors and crystal chandeliers. Maria, the maid, stood frozen, a feather duster clutched in her trembling hand. Her eyes, wide with shock and fear, darted to Mr. Harrington, a man she had served faithfully for over a decade. He was a titan of industry, known for his sharp suits and even sharper temper. Today, his face was a mask of thunderous rage. What was her crime? A tiny, almost invisible scratch on his prized vintage sports car, a car she was carefully dusting, as she did every single morning. She knew it wasn't her. She was always so careful, treating every object in the mansion as if it were a fragile museum piece. But Mr. Harrington wasn't one for explanations or excuses. His word was law in this house. "But, sir—" "But, sir—" "IDIDNCN goats, T. Maria's voice was barely a whisper, swallowed by the cavernous room. "Silence," he roared, pointing a stern finger toward the door. "I don't pay you to damage my property. Pack your things and get out. Now." Tears welled in Maria's eyes. This job was everything. It was how she supported her ailing mother, how she paid for her son's education. Losing it meant losing everything. Her shoulders slumped in defeat. She knew there was no arguing with a man like Mr. Harrington. With a heavy heart, she turned to leave, her world crumbling around her. But just as she took her first step towards the exit, a small voice cut through the tense silence. "Stop." It was Lily, Mr. Harrington's 10-year-old daughter. She had been standing quietly in the doorway, her school backpack slung over one shoulder, having just returned home. Her father hadn't noticed her. Lily stepped forward, her small frame radiating a confidence that defied her age. She walked right past her furious father and stood directly in front of Maria, placing a comforting hand on the maid's arm. "It wasn't Maria, Daddy," Lily said, her voice clear and firm. She turned to face her father, her expression serious. "It was me." Mr. Harrington's jaw dropped. He stared at his daughter, his anger momentarily replaced by utter disbelief. "You? Lily, what are you talking about?" "Don't be ridiculous. Why would you defend her?" "I'm not just defending her. I'm telling the truth," Lily insisted. She took a deep breath, her eyes not wavering from her father's. "I was playing with my new remote-controlled car this morning before school. I lost control of it, and it bumped into your car. I saw the scratch. I was scared to tell you, so I ran to catch the bus. Maria wasn't even there yet." The hall fell silent again, but this time it was a different kind of silence. It was thick with astonishment. Mr. Harrington looked from his daughter's determined face to Maria's tear-streaked one. He had been so quick to judge, so ready to condemn. He had built an empire on decisiveness, but in his own home, that same trait had just made him a tyrant. Maria looked at Lily, her heart swelling with a mix of gratitude and amazement. This little girl, who she had often read bedtime stories to, was now standing up for her, risking her powerful father's wrath. It was an act of courage she never expected. Mr. Harrington's anger slowly deflated, replaced by a complex wave of shame and pride. Shame for his explosive temper and false accusation. Pride for his daughter's incredible integrity. He had always tried to teach her the value of honesty, but he never imagined she would teach him a lesson in it. He walked over to Lily, crouching down to her level. His voice, now gentle, was almost unrecognizable. "Lily, ... Is this true? You're not just saying this to protect Maria?" Lily nodded, her pigtails bouncing. "It's true, Daddy. I'm really sorry about your car. I know it's your favorite, but it's not fair to blame Maria. She's the kindest person I know." Mr. Harrington looked at the small scratch on his multi-million-dollar car, and for the first time, it seemed completely insignificant. He had almost thrown away a loyal employee, a person who was part of their family in all but name, over a piece of metal. He had let his pride and temper blind him to what was truly important. He stood up and turned to Maria. The arrogance was gone from his posture. "Maria," he said, his voice thick with regret. I'm so deeply sorry. I was wrong. Completely and utterly wrong. Please, Can you forgive me?" Maria, overwhelmed with emotion, could only nod as she wiped her tears away. "Of course, sir. Of course. No, don't call me sir," he said, managing a small, sheepish smile. "Please, after today, call me Richard." He then looked back at his daughter, a newfound respect shining in his eyes. "And you," he said to Lily, "I have never been more proud of you than I am at this moment. Honesty is a greater treasure than any car. You reminded me of that today." That evening, the atmosphere in the Harrington mansion was different. There was a lightness, a warmth that had been missing for a long time. At the dinner table, Richard, not Mr. Harrington, asked Maria to join them. Not to serve her, but to eat with them as a guest. It was awkward at first, but Lily's cheerful chatter soon filled the gaps. They talked about Maria's son and his dream of becoming an architect. Richard, genuinely interested, offered to look over his portfolio and see if he could connect him with some people in the industry. He learned about Maria's mother and her medical needs, and without a second thought, he made a call to his personal physician to arrange for the best possible care, all expenses covered. He realized he knew so little about the woman who had cared for his home and his daughter for years. He had seen her as an employee, a function, not a person with her own life, hopes, and struggles. The scratch on the car was repaired the next day, but the mark it left on Richard Harrington's heart was permanent. It was a reminder of his own fallibility and of his daughter's immense strength of character. He started making changes. He became more patient, more present. He started listening more than he shouted. He took more time to be a father, not just a boss. Lily's single act of bravery had not just saved Maria's job. It had transformed her father. It had repaired something far more valuable than a car: their family. It showed that true wealth isn't measured in dollars or possessions, but in integrity, kindness, and the courage to do the right thing, even when it's hard. And Maria, she continued to work at the mansion, but she was no longer just the maid. She was family. All because a little girl dared to speak the truth to power, proving that sometimes the most profound lessons come from the most unexpected teachers. Thanks for watching. If this story moved you, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more content that touches the heart. See you in the next video.